Hello, welcome. Today we will talk about the degrees of planets. One sign has 30 degrees, and within those 30 degrees, a planet can be placed anywhere. There are several degrees, like Pushkar, where if a planet is positioned at that particular degree, its signification or lordship gets uplifted. Such nectar has happened. If a planet is in Amrit Gati, then again the planet receives blessings. Now, if we talk about the negative side, then the wish has decreased. If a planet is sitting in Vishgati in any sign, then we can see its downfall. From there, we get an insult. Mrityu Bhaga harms health. If a planet is in Mrityu Bhaga, its Dasha or Antadasha can cause health issues. Watch out for the Dasha of a planet at that degree. Today, we will talk on this basis about what other special degrees there are. When the dasha of a planet comes, be cautious of the dasha outcome. Dasha and anti-dasha rules may not fit. They can be quite challenging because sometimes the rules of dashanta dasha do not seem to be applicable. See, they can be quite challenging. Something like that can happen. But those degrees are always something to watch out for. Let's move on. Let's start with tricky degrees and planets, and their dasha. These tricky degrees work in both static and dynamic. Promises. Gandanta is the transition at 0 and 29 degrees. Whenever a sign is ending or a new sign is beginning, it means 0 degrees and 29 degrees, 0 degrees and a few minutes, 29 degrees and a few minutes. This Sandhi position, we also refer to this Sandhi position as Gandanta. When they say that when a planet is shifting from water to fire and from fire to water, that transition phase of the planet, those degrees are referred to as Gandanta. Otherwise, even if you are moving from air to water, in any sign, the planet may not be in Gandanta, but it is definitely in the signs Sandhi. This is going to get more challenging when a planet is in Gandanta, especially in terms of physical and mental aspects. Health is not talked about in a very positive way. Why not talked about? Well, because it's a transition phase. When we also come out of a transition phase, this is very tough. There are many people who welcome transitions like this, especially if it's a negative transition. Similarly, the planets' transitions are not easy for them either. So planets provide us with what they are feeling. This transaction is trickier, more challenging, and even more likely to fail. When the Mahadasha of any planet is going on, it is sitting at this degree. For example, let's say a planet like Venus is in its main period and it's at 29 degrees, and the sub period is of Mars or Saturn, which is a natural malefic planet's period. During this period, you always need to watch out to see if any other combinations are turning negative. This becomes even more critical if the sub period is of your enemy planet, like Mars at 29 degrees or 0 degrees and 3 minutes, and the sub period is of Saturn or Rahu. Here, you need to pay extra attention to both natural malefic planets. Things might not be that bad or challenging if the subperiod is of your friend, a natural benefic planet. So we need a subperiod of a natural malefic planet, which can make this time period troublesome. For the Sun, in particular, these degrees become quite critical. Why? Because whenever the Sun is in these degrees, 29 plus 0 degrees minutes, there will be a Sankranti. The direct rule of Sankranti is that if the Sun is in Sankranti, leaving its sign, then either the Sun's natural significations or its shape suffers. If the Sun is in transition in these degrees, it won't be good for health or vitality. Now, which health sector is being affected? You need to look at which house is affected. For example, if the second or 12th house is affected, then since the Sun is the significator of the eyes, we need to be careful in that area. If the fourth house is affected, then the Sun is the significator of the heart. And if the sun is in Gandanta, in the sign Sandhi, on a Sankranti day, you need to be careful about the heart area. This way you can find out which area will be difficult. Let's understand from the chart. In this chart, many planets are in Gandanta or in conjunction. As you can see, the sun is in conjunction, Jupiter is in conjunction, and the moon is in Gandanta. The degrees of these three are close to each other, 29 degrees, few minutes. He hasn't seen Jupiter's main period yet. They have looked at the main periods of the sun and the moon. When they were in the sun's main period and Saturn's sub-period, it will definitely come to my mind that the sun is my lord of wealth, and it's with Saturn, which is not a friend of the seventh lord. It's a cruel planet, and it's also affecting it. There is the sixth lord and the seventh lord. My seventh lord is Mars, right? So when they were in the Saturn period of the sun, their wife was out of the hospital. Her condition was very bad. In fact, actually, half of the time she was in the hospital. During Rahu or Ketu, they faced issues. Even then, they faced financial losses, difficulties in work, and issues with their own health. There were problems like this. What did we say? This planet will lose its natural signification by coming to this degree or lordship of the seventh. He was obviously bothering you. From there, when your partner in this situation, where can you sit peacefully? The sun's conjunction caused this problem. These planets are hostile. In the sun's main period and during the periods with Saturn, Rahu, or Ketu, the problem is also greater because these are all natural malefic planets and they have enmity with each other. Now let's talk about the moon's main period. The moon is in Gandanta. There is indeed a conjunction, but it's a Gandanta conjunction. So this can be very challenging. The moon rules the sixth house. In natural signification, emotions show the mood and general well-being. If moon or Venus is afflicted, then generally they can't stay happy. They show lack of happiness. Moon is weak. Moon's 0 degree moon is with Rahu. So the moon has access to Saturn, and it is also expected. So it is weak from many places. But he is my sixth lord. If my sixth lord is getting weak, then I should say that I will defeat my enemies. There will be a lack of challenges. But the sixth house and the sixth lord also show our competitive ability. The moon at the Kanat gate shows our mind, our mother, and our emotions. If they are suffering, then there is nothing to be happy about. Mars affects the fifth house and its lord. It's problematic in its sign with the moon. And Ketu, a planet with a functional or malefic planet in its sign, increases trouble intensity. Mars can be more problematic because he is sitting in his sign with the moon and Ketu. Whenever a planet affects you and it is functioning with a functional or malefic planet in its own sign, the intensity of the trouble it causes tends to increase a bit. The moon lost his during the Mars period first. Obviously, when the moon Rahu period came, which is also a 6 to 8 period, then they went through mental trauma, obviously depression, such suicidal tendencies that you don't even feel like living yourself. And Mars is not a good planet for the ascendant either. And then Mars is also not a good planet for the ascendant. So it shows a decline in the house. They haven't seen the Jupiter period yet because the sun and moon were in these special degrees. So these periods have brought them a lot of sorrow. Let's talk about one more chart. In this chart, both Rahu and Ketu are in special degrees. Right now, they are in the Jupiter time period. Before this, whenever I met them, it was during the Rahu time period. If we look at Rahu, in the house movement, then definitely moving to the 8th house, there is also Mars there. Now, Rahu and Mars, or Mars with Rahu, have a rule of the first period that it tends to be a tough period. Then both of their placements have gone into the 8th house. Rahu behaves like its dispositor. They are behaving like the lord of the seventh house. It's in the fifth house with the fifth lord. Mercury is not the fifth lord. In fact, it is also the earth lord, which is sitting with Mars in its second sign. When Mars's period came in Rahu, she got attached to a guy. Their marriage didn't happen, leading to heartbreak. So, when analyzing a chart, consider both static and dynamic views. But some reason why they were not married. She had gone through a mess of heartbreak, and that time period was quite turbulent. Next time you analyze charts, consider static views. If any planet's transit is in Gandanta at the degree of the sign, and all the periods are of natural malefic planets, which are also its enemies, then it can be troublesome. In all of this, transits and divisional charts all give a similar kind of indication or hint. Thank you so much.